When we think of evil, we often imagine the monsters of fiction, but sometimes real-life horror surpasses imagination. Theodore Johnson, a man who took the lives of not one but three women he claimed to love, stands as one of the most chilling cases in British criminal history. His story is not just about his heinous acts, but also about the system that failed repeatedly, leaving devastation in its wake. How does a man with a proven history of violence get the chance to kill again? And how could the lives of three women have been saved if the system had worked as intended? Let's unravel this disturbing story of love, betrayal, and murder, examining the man behind the crimes, the tragic fates of his victims, and the glaring cracks in the justice system that let him slip through time and time again. Early life and first marriage. Theodore Johnson's story begins in Jamaica, where he was born in 1954 into a family of 11 children. Growing up, he worked on a banana plantation, a physically demanding job that instilled a strong work ethic. But like many Jamaicans of his generation, Johnson yearned for a better life and sought opportunities abroad. In 1980, Johnson moved to the United Kingdom with his first wife, Yvonne Johnson, hoping for a fresh start. They settled in Wolverhampton, where Johnson took up a job at a car repair service. Outwardly, the couple appeared to be building a life together, but behind closed doors, their marriage was far from perfect. Their relationship was fraught with arguments and tensions that spiraled out of control in 1981. On one fateful day, a seemingly trivial disagreement turned deadly. Yvonne, who had reportedly been abusive towards Johnson, stopped him from going to church, claiming he was not appropriately dressed. Enraged, Johnson attacked her, striking her with a vase before pushing her out of a ninth-floor window. Yvonne died instantly from the fall. Johnson was arrested and later convicted of manslaughter, with the court sentencing him to just 3 years in prison. The lenient sentence shocked many, as Johnson's defense successfully portrayed him as a battered husband, arguing that he had acted in the heat of the moment after years of alleged abuse. However, this was just the beginning of his reign of terror, second relationship, and another life lost. Following his release, Johnson returned to society, where he began a new relationship with Yvonne Bennett, a young woman living in Wolverhampton. Pair eventually moved to North London, where they lived together and even welcomed a daughter. For a time, it seemed that Johnson had turned over a new leaf. However, history repeated itself. Johnson's jealousy and possessiveness led to frequent arguments, particularly after he suspected Yvonne of being unfaithful. As tensions escalated, Yvonne sought help, even reporting Johnson's stalking behavior to the police. Tragically, these warning signs went unheeded. In 1993, Johnson's jealousy reached a boiling point. In their home, while their 2-year-old daughter slept in the next room, Johnson strangled Yvonne with a belt. After committing the act, he attempted suicide by hanging himself from a tree, but survived. He then called the police to confess his crime. This time, Johnson was sentenced to indefinite detention in a secure mental institution, with the court acknowledging his struggles with depression and a personality disorder. The legal system believed that Johnson's treatment in a controlled environment would rehabilitate him. But even in a secure setting, Johnson's capacity for manipulation and violence went unchecked. Release and a deadly deception. In 1997, just 4 years after taking the life of his second victim, Theodore Johnson was deemed fit for release by a mental health tribunal. The decision came with stringent conditions. He was required to notify authorities of any new romantic relationships. The idea was that close monitoring of his personal life might prevent future tragedies. However, this system, designed to safeguard potential victims, proved to be tragically flawed. Not long after his release, Johnson crossed paths with Angela Best, a 51-year-old mother of 4, during a furniture restoration course in 1995. Angela found Johnson to be soft-spoken and charming, completely unaware of his violent history. Over the next 2 decades, Johnson masterfully concealed his dark past, portraying himself as an unassuming, kind-hearted man. The authorities' failure to ensure he adhered to his reporting conditions allowed this deadly facade to continue. Angela, like so many others, had no reason to suspect the horrors lurking beneath Johnson's calm exterior. The truth finally emerged in 2016 when Angela received an anonymous letter that exposed Johnson's horrifying criminal history. The revelation shocked her to her core. Though she immediately ended the relationship, Angela's kind nature led her to maintain a connection with Johnson. Believing she could manage the situation safely, she continued to assist him with errands and other small tasks, hoping to keep him at arm's length. Unfortunately, this decision would have devastating consequences. The murder of Angela Best. On December 15th, 2016, Angela visited Johnson's flat to help him prepare for an upcoming appointment with the Jamaican embassy. Her decision to assist him, despite their history, was a testament to her compassionate and forgiving nature. Tragically, Angela could not have foreseen that this act of kindness would place her directly in harm's way. In a sudden and violent fit of rage, Johnson attacked Angela with a claw hammer, delivering several brutal blows. When she tried to resist, he overpowered her, using a dressing gown cord to strangle her until she succumbed to her injuries. The assault was savage and unrelenting, leaving Angela no chance of survival. Her murder marked the culmination of decades of deceit and systemic failure to monitor a man with a known history of violence. After the murder, Johnson attempted to take his own life by jumping in front of a train at Cheshunt railway station. While his injuries were severe, resulting in the amputation of his right arm and left hand, he survived. During his hospitalization, police searched his flat and discovered Angela's lifeless body. Her death was a shocking reminder of the dangers Johnson posed and the tragic inadequacy of the safeguards meant to prevent such a tragedy. The trial and sentencing. In court, Johnson admitted to Angela's murder, displaying little emotion as the verdict was read. Initially sentenced to 26 years, his term was later increased to 30 years following public outcry and an appeal. Johnson's defense argued that he was deeply remorseful and consumed by self-loathing, but for Angela's family, this was little solace. Angela's children described her as the heart of their family, a loving mother and grandmother whose loss was immeasurable. Her death, like those of Yvonne Johnson and Yvonne Bennett, could have been prevented if the system had acted more responsibly. A systemic failure. The case of Theodore Johnson exposed significant flaws in the criminal justice and mental health systems. How was a man who had killed twice before allowed to re-enter society with minimal oversight? Critics argue that the decision to release Johnson in 1997 was a grave error compounded by the failure to monitor his relationships effectively. The Camden and Islington NHS Trust, responsible for Johnson's care, conducted an internal review but faced backlash for their lack of accountability. The trust maintained that Johnson's treatment adhered to the conditions set by the tribunal, but this explanation did little to assuage public anger. The legacy of the case. Theodore Johnson's case is a grim reminder of the importance of stringent monitoring and accountability within the justice system. It also highlights the devastating consequences of domestic violence and the urgent need for societal awareness. For the families of Yvonne Johnson, Yvonne Bennett, and Angela Best, the pain of their loss is compounded by the knowledge that these tragedies could have been avoided. As their stories continue to resonate, They serve as a call to action to ensure no other families endure such heartbreak. The story of Theodore Johnson is not just about one man's heinous crimes. It's about a system that failed to protect the innocent. It's about the lives lost and the lessons that must be learned to prevent future tragedies. As we reflect on this case, we must ask ourselves, how many more lives need to be lost before real change is implemented? May the memories of Yvonne Johnson, Yvonne Bennett, and Angela Best inspire us to build a safer, more just society. What do you think went wrong in Theodore Johnson's case? Do you believe the system could have done more to prevent his victims from suffering? How can we ensure that future tragedies like this don't happen again? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story disturbing yet eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to share this video with your friends to spread awareness about the importance of justice and reform. And if you want to hear more real-life crime stories like this one, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Stay safe and always be aware of the dangers lurking in the world around us.